What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? All right. I'm going to try to bring in my brother here. Let me see where he's at. Let's see what's going on here. I'm trying to bring in one of my brothers to talk about this subject tonight. And waiting to see if he's in or not. Oh, hold up. Sorry for the delay, everybody. Do, 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 do. Hold up. What's going on, Luke? I've got a brother of mine I'm trying to bring in here on the stream, and worst case, I might just have to Skype him. His name is Brandon Samuel. He's a part of I have a crew of fellow nerds called the Super Geek Podcast. If you like Star Wars and you like that other type of stuff, we've done some broadcasts talking about that because, you got to live life too, and not everything I do is church and music involved. I'm not a one-dimensional human being, as you can tell from the T-shirt, which I can tell the green screen, the chroma screen is chroma key is kind of wiping it out. In fact, I'm going to see if I can open up Skype. But I was contemplating doing a live stream talking about this thing with Gabe El Taib, and then I got the news came out just maybe 30 minutes ago that Cavill is out as Superman, and I was really, really bummed because it's a huge step or it's a huge misstep rather for oh, nice. Yeah, you have to. You know what, man? After this, I might have to start golf. Yeah, I might have to start golfing, Luke. Yeah, man, it's pretty ridiculous. James Gunn just fired him. In fact, I'll pull up his Instagram and show you. Henry Cavill Instagram. Here we go. Let's pull it up. I really hate it when it does that. Sorry, I have this other thing. Hold up. There we go. Yep. So I have just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I, after all, will not be returning as Superman. After being told to the studio to announce my return back in October, 5 seconds ago. Yeah. This is going to be a big backlash from the fans. Yeah. I don't think his time wearing the cape is past, and it's basically not what James Gunn is saying. What James Gunn is saying is that we're going to focus on a young Superman, and we're talking about other stuff with Henry, which is I think I just take it as Hollywood speak for yeah, we're done. I'm going to try to get my buddy up on here. Let's while we pull up Skype. So yeah, he's been sick for weeks. He's been bringing some DC stuff. Yeah. Everybody was mega excited that he was back. Honestly, that was why most people. This is why I paid for. We bought Black Adam just a couple weeks ago. We didn't go see it in theater. Honestly, I haven't had time with the amount of work that I've been doing. So I just called. We just bought it through Prime and watched it at home. And really, one of the main reasons that I even bought it was because And I even waited until the rumors were confirmed, because the rumors were that Henry Cavill was going to make a cameo. And when it was confirmed, and I basically watched the cameo for myself. Like I was like, okay, it's Henry Cavill. All right, now I'll watch the. Now I'll give Warner Brothers some more of my money. Whoops, hold up. We want to do it this way. Come on. Whoops. Calling Brandon. There he is.
Am I on?
You are on, and Luke and anybody in this. Yeah, exactly. So now,
hello.
Now the Witcher is ruined and Superman. Y'all let me know in the comments if Brandon is coming through. Brandon, talk to me. And you see, this is a kindred spirit. You see, he got decked out in all the Superman gear.
Let me mute the Skype, I guess. Hold on. Well, actually, no.
Okay. Yeah, if you can hear me, you're coming through. Yeah, you're coming through on our end. So everybody can see you. Everybody can hear you. It's beautiful.
Okay. I'm gonna just cut you off on the YouTube. So
there you go. Yeah. So it's not looping.
All right,
bro.
I don't even know where to start.
I just read his statement. So first off, I don't even want to speculate. I'm just gonna make some harsh statements and judgments, and if I'm wrong, I'll be grateful to find out if I'm wrong. But basically, James Gunn is lying, because in Twitter, in his announcement, he's saying, well, no, we're going to focus on a young Superman thing, but we're still talking about, we're talking to Cavill about some exciting things down the road. And Cavill in his Instagram things like, yeah, I'm having to pass the cape. My time is done. Grateful to have done it, and I got to move on. And it's like, yeah, that's not, we're going to do a young Superman, then I'm going to come back and do something else. That's like, I'm out.
Yeah. My mind is just like, okay, so I will, like I said on the Instagram earlier, what it sounds like to me is I don't want to point fingers at DC anymore. I truly think this is a WB thing. I've always felt that way. I think that they are using DC as the fall guys. They're making these big executive decisions, and they're having DC be the ones to, because we see them more. Like, we don't see executives at Warner Brothers doing. It's all like the guys at DC, because that's like, they're the ones that are more active, on social media and all that, especially like the leadership. Because before it's Jeff Johns, and then you have Jim Lee and all that, who are already have their presence online anyways. Yeah. So WB sees it as, okay, well, since they're already engaging with the community, we don't have to engage with them. So we're going to make these big calls and stuff, and then they're going to be the fall guys. I do think James Gunn likes him as an actor and as a person. Mm-hmm. But I think he's just carrying out.
I'm waiting for it to see if it makes sure it catches up on YouTube. Okay, it caught up on YouTube. Yeah,
okay, I see.
Yeah. You might be right, man. Because Warner Brothers, that's what Rock was saying. The Rock was saying about Warner Brothers, that he had to fight them to get Cavill in the role for Black Adam. I mean, they're like, to me, it's like they're insistent on ticking off the fans and not making them happy.
I just don't think they care. Well, I never thought they cared. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about, the checks.
Yeah, but
who cares what we?
You would think making your customers happy. I actually thought so. There's this other video. I'm gonna do a full thing on it later, but we can just kind of touch on it with
sure.
That and I had kind of heard about this guy, but I didn't really. Have you heard about that story about the Gabe Al-Taib, one of the guys that left DC? I guess it was a couple years ago. Yeah, I guess he was he used to work with Jim Lee. He's a colorist and an artist.
Oh, okay.
And he left due to, all the agendas getting pushed. And, he's a strong Christian. He's half Iranian and there we go. I don't know why it's dropping. I might have to do some system stuff after the stream. But anyway, he jumped off because they were basically ruining the legacy characters. And he left. Sure, and he actually apparently he said in the stream with the Babylon Bee that he actually he confronted Jim Lee about it because he's like, look, you're a Korean American, like you weren't born here, like my family came, they had to flee the Middle East, and he was very upset over them changing Superman's motto from truth, justice, and the American way. He's like, where else can we do this but in America? So that was kind of his. But he it's talking about like Warner Brothers and DC and all these companies, these mega corporations not caring about their customers. He's like, what they're doing is like, hey, look, man. He was comparing like adding all these other characters. It's like, look, man, if you want to make your, modern characters that are gay or trans, make them.
Sure.
But he said if you go to McDonald's, it's like, let's add a fish sandwich. But what you're doing is you're taking away all the hamburgers and you're making them fish sandwiches.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I was like, it was a perfect analogy.
Yeah. No, I agree. Where I stand on it as far as like the agenda.
Yeah.
I don't mind when they race swap. Oh, sorry. I do mind. What I mean is, if you want to be inclusive, and I'm always a huge proponent about inclusivity in Hollywood. It's a huge issue that, is apparently is still going. Make new characters.
Broke the internet with that one, bro.
As soon as I did.
He said, like, make new characters, and the internet said, no.
Nah. And all that. So it's just when you mess with the characters that are already like the way they are, that's when you make people upset.
100%. 100%, man. Because you break the lore, you change their stories. Even when they reset the universes, it never lasts. Like the Ultimate Universe, in Marvel. I mean, they literally destroyed it. I think the only thing they saved out of it was Miles Morales. He's literally the only thing that they saved out of that entire universe. I mean, and it was funny because I feel like one of the things that they did is they basically burned through a lot of the best stories quickly instead of creating a bunch of new stories. And once they did all those, they killed Spider-Man. The real Spider-Man. I mean, that was even a thing that Nerdrotic did on Twitter. Apparently, he's broken Twitter like 4 times by posting Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And I don't know why that's a controversial thing. It's like, he's like, look, Miles Morales is Miles Morales, but Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And it's like, yes. You always have to qualify. When you say Spider-Man, you know who you're talking about. If you're talking about Miles Morales, you say Miles Morales. You don't say Spider-Man. I'm like, right, I don't even know why that's controversial. And I agree with a lot of the creators in that space. It's like, man, why didn't they just name him something else? They could have named him something else. Yep. Thank you for using the. I'm gonna have to get my lightsaber out here, get my Count Dooku joint on. But I feel like, much like I'm trying to think of a modern character that caught up to the modern ethos quickly. I mean, maybe like a Deadpool. Deadpool was created in the 80s, and look how fast he caught up.
Yeah.
But imagine if they would have named him like a second something else, like another Flash or another Wolverine or something like that. Like people would have wrote him off. I mean, like, it wasn't until Jason Todd became the Red Hood that and now he's gotten his own books. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
was it Red Hood and Outlaws?
Yeah, because you got to be something else.
Yeah.
and I honestly at this point, like my wife was like, she was amused at how upset I got up about this, and I was actually surprised because I was like, oh, just these movies. But then it grew, and then I got in the chat with you guys, and then anger turned to hate turned to suffering.
Yeah,
and
I was just like, what is happening? Like my phone going off. Like, all right, so something must have happened in the nerd world. So I scrolled up
the nerdosphere,
and I was like, what? And like, well, I'm an optimistic guy, usually. And
typically.
And I don't know, like Lisa's boyfriend said, they better cancel Peacemaker.
Yeah,
like that's not fair. Like if you're wiping the whole slate clean, okay,
yeah,
okay, so then Peacemaker should be done. Like all of the current DC stuff should be out then.
Yep.
The only thing that I think going forward, do the Flash movie where we cast that Ezra Miller. Just because like of the whole real life stuff. Like that's like kind of crazy. Like
yeah.
It's one thing if like they want to use that as like the eraser. If you're so quick to not have these people go forward, Aquaman, of course Jason Momoa is fine because he gets to be Lobo, so like,
which
he's
honestly,
just happy to act.
Which that's not bad casting.
No,
I mean I think he'll actually I think he'll make a better Lobo than Aquaman, so I'm not mad at that. But it's like Cavill. I mean, I literally wrote on Cavill's post on Instagram. I was like, I don't care what anybody says. You're Superman. Please stay away from horses. Please. Because
oh yeah.
And I wasn't even being funny because I said, look, man, I can't lose two Supermen in one lifetime. You know, Dean Cain was cool. Tom, whatever his face, was cool in Smallville, but they're not Superman. Yeah. Christopher Reeve was Superman. And when that happened, dude, he broke the hearts of kids and, you know, adolescents all around the world. You know, to see Superman in a wheelchair. And I don't want to see him as Wolverine. I don't want to see him as Hercules. I don't want to see him as, what's up, Penny, Miss Penny? I know we're not talking music or, you know, other stuff. We're just getting into some, you're getting to know me here because this is the type of stuff that I get down on. If I'm not reading the Bible, making music and playing gigs, I'm hanging out with my boys Sam and Jesse and Lisa, and we're you know, you got to check out, what's up, Michelle? You got to check out if you like Star Wars and all that type of stuff, you got to check out the Super Geek podcast. We haven't done anything in a few months. Sam moved to the other side of the U.S.
We're back home,
but we're gonna get back on that because there's much. You know what we need to do? We need to find something that's worthy of our time to watch, or just go back to the old stuff because man, they're just ruining.
I was saying to do, we can do comics. You know, do like a look back on like Kingdom Come, for example. Like we can do like a retrospective.
Man,
you know,
I could do at least two. I could do 2 1 hour. Actually, I could probably do 2 2 hour things on Kingdom Comes, or like at least an hour per part, because I think there's 3 parts of the story, right? There's Superman. There's getting Superman back in action. There's Superman back in action, and then there's the culmination. You know, the culmination of it. Yeah, Superman. You know, Red Sun. I actually looked at my crate of comics that I haven't opened in forever, and I'm. Yeah, I think it's back to books and back to comic books because man, these films and these. I mean, honestly, the only thing that's been consistently good has been. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I hear that's been awesome, but Cobra Kai.
House of Dragon is great.
I have heard.
I still need to.
I've heard that House of Dragon. Yeah, you've got to get on Cobra Kai, man. I'm telling you. Everybody that's watched it, like they have not. It's been consistently like 7s, like as far as like the whole each season is like a solid 7, man. It's like it's not the best thing you've ever seen, but it keeps your attention through the entire thing. And I mean, dude, like that's a great example. Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio has never gotten out of the shadow of the Karate Kid. I think the only thing that gets Cavill somewhere else is James Bond. He would be an amazing James Bond. The fans would support it. I think he would do the role justice now that Idris Elba's too old. I honestly thought Idris Elba as James Bond would have been amazing.
Well, about that, the only reason why that didn't... It's like we can't even reveal what you're about to say.
Yeah. You got censored.
The author said, and this is crazy.
Was he still alive when that happened?
The original, no. But like, it's one of the authors of like the new, like recent. Like he wrote like one of the recent books.
Okay.
This guy said he's too urban. Like, what does that mean?
Dude, at that point, just say he's black. I mean, honestly, I think that's less offensive. If you say, look, this is a white Scotsman from the Highlands, okay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's like, okay, man, we're not going to cast Dwayne Johnson as we're going to redo Braveheart and cast William Wallace with Dwayne Johnson. That's fine, but don't try to do this pussyfoot and
walking around the woods.
Yeah, so. But yeah, I think that's the only thing that he can really go into that the fans. I mean, I think the fans are going to support Cavill no matter what because, he walked away from Witcher. From what I understand, they were kind of ruining the story, breaking the lore.
Yeah, for sure. Big time.
And here we were campaigning, pushing. Like I remember when Shazam came out, and they had some other dude in the suit, and it.
The after credit scene,
bro. It literally. It was like taking a poop in the ice cream for me. It's like, this movie was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. And then they did that, and I walked out of the theater with a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah. Because I knew it wasn't him because, like, I'm like, okay, who's this skinny, like, dude in the suit? And then, of course, like, when they do the behind the scenes, like, this is who was wearing the suit. I'm like, what?
Yeah. You couldn't find a bodybuilder, And what's the problem of getting him? Like, why not get him?
You know what's sad? Like, the after credit scene of Black Adam is literally the last.
Very possibly the last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid.
I like jumped out of my seat. Like when I saw like the silhouette float down, I'm like, no way, dude. And then it just like comes out of the shadows and it's Superman.
Yeah, that's
Cavill.
It's funny. I've enjoyed the last couple years really since Endgame. I've enjoyed watching the crowd reaction videos because
those are fun. I like.
Because when you've been there, it kind of it allows you. It was like I was watching this guy on. I think it was Tim Pool. He's a musician and he was talking about people recording the concert with their shows and people taking phones and comedians taking phones and stuff and people getting people on stage getting aggravated because people are recording. It's like he said most of the time when people are recording it at their shows, it's like they're not even looking at their phone. They're recording it so they can have something to remember the show, to remember that moment by.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I that's why I like those videos because it takes me back to 2001, I think, was when the Attack of the Clones, Star Wars Episode 2 came out. And I was in the theater, man. I was in the theater opening night with two of my friends.
Oh, wow.
And, bro, when Yoda walked out... And when the theater, bro, I can't even describe to you with human words what it was like when he walked out. I mean, like you're talking, I was born in 80. I think that was the same year The Empire Strikes came out. When Yoda was introduced, the year that I was born, okay, the character. So you're talking like 30 years, or 20 plus years, you know, whatever it was for him to come out. And then, dude, when that lightsaber came out, you didn't hear anything but, bro, it was people screaming, losing their minds for like a good 10 minutes, man. That theater didn't calm down until like Dooku's ship landed in the other, you know. I mean, it was bonkers.
See, I wish I remembered. I remember seeing the furthest back that I remember seeing, like, and we talked about this before, but for those of you in chat, as like a little like, hey, my mother used to work for 20th Century Fox when I was a very young lad, 2 years old. And when she would take me to the lot, I remember that mural of like all the Star Wars characters like on the Fox lot. And at the time, she took me to see the re-release of the original trilogy, and this was the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, special editions.
Yeah, the special edition trilogy. Yeah, and I remember just like when it was Empire, when Darth Vader's like, you don't know that, like, I remember even the crowd like erupting then, and I was essentially a baby, know, more or less. But the furthest back I remember is the prequel trilogy, because that's more of my younger days. Is especially Revenge of the Sith.
It's back.
It worked. I was force choking the internet. Yeah, exactly, Penny. Like the whole, I don't mind progressive ideals and science fiction and stuff, but like I think actually there's a place for it. But when it's literally just like super annoying, super frustrating.
Well, yeah, Star Trek.
It's literally and also Star Trek for sure.
Well, they know how to do it right. They know how to, like, here's an idea. Here's what a society would look like that lived like this. You know, it was, you know, it wasn't, this is the thing. We got to, men are strong, so we got to make women strong, so all the men are weak and stupid and incompetent and horrible. You know, it's like, they didn't do that in Terminator 2. I mean, Linda Hamilton was or Aliens, or Alien, Alien or Aliens. Yeah. I mean, it was like, dude, Linda Hamilton was a boss in that movie.
Yeah. It's not about like, I'm a strong, independent woman. You just do it. You just act. There's no talk.
Yep.
That's all the talk is in the action.
Yep.
You don't see Ripley or Sarah Connor like I'm powerful, because no, like they just handled business, and that's why they're remembered as like one of the greatest written female leads.
Yep. That was like that whole nonsense. She saw that nonsense that Jennifer What's-Her-Face from Hunger Games said the other day.
What did she say?
Bro, she's like, she said she made it possible for women to be in leading action roles.
No.
Bro, and like everybody, like left, right, center, everybody was like, you are dumb.
No.
Go home.
No. Maybe in YA dystopian films, but Hollywood doesn't like doing them anymore. Clearly. Like, when was the last time you saw a YA dystopian movie? It's been a while.
Well, it's too much like reality, so they can't.
Sure.
Once we had like actual lockdowns, they're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't make any more movies like this. It's a little bit too much like reality.
That is very true.
Oh, what is her name? She played Mystique in the X-Men films, and she was what's her face in the Hunger Games. What is her name?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. There you go. But you were saying something about the Star Wars and the prequels before the internet froze you. I wanted you to finish that point.
Oh, I was just saying that I just remember in Revenge of the Sith, like, we were just going wild.
Oh, yeah.
When Anakin went full.
If you're not with me, you're against me.
That's the best duel in history. I actually think I like that more than
Hold up. That deserves the air horn right there. Dude, I don't know why. I do not understand. People talk about that duel being bad. I'm like,
They're on crack.
That's not even crack. Like
or something.
I mean, you are sniffing at a 1970 Plymouth muffler or something. Please go buy some illicit substances, please, because you are sniffing paint thinner. You have Crayola markers shoved up your nostrils, because that is the baddest lightsaber choreography, dude. That is some of the best sword fighting on film ever.
Oh my god! I rewatch it all the time.
Oh,
like that,
yeah. Have you seen the some of the there was footage from that they cut? Have you watched that? There's a guy. He's like Star Wars analyst or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that. He's got some of that stunt footage. It was actually more epic. So what happened was the move that he used on Dooku to cut his hands.
Uh-huh.
And you kind of they cut in the final edit of the film. He tried that on Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan countered it. That's when they both ended up behind the back. He was going to disarm him and try to cut his arms off, dude.
Yeah, you're right. Now I'm looking.
Oh yeah, you're doing the whole
spider.
You're doing the whole fighting your. Hold up.
Do I?
Oh, Michelle. Oh, you got a spider that's okay. While you're trying to figure out the spider, let me read this comment, Michelle.
Because it's dangling, so it's not on the wall.
Go ahead and get it. Well, I'm going to read this comment from Michelle. So you just bought the fourth Matrix on DVD to watch a week ago. Are you talking about the one that just came out, Michelle? Like the new one that came out like last year or 2 years ago? If you're talking about that, I hate to tell you, it's nobody. I don't know anybody that said anything good about that film. Not even Keanu Reeves. I really enjoyed it. I was a huge fan of the original trilogy. I'm one of those weird people that thought the third one was good. A lot of people thought Matrix 3, it was Matrix Reloaded, the Matrix... I can't remember what the third one was called, but I thought the third one was great because it was like a live action anime. But I tried to watch Matrix 4, the new one, and I fell asleep. I don't fall asleep in films ever. I'm very engaged in story. I enjoy stories. And my wife, I think she said she watched the whole thing and she hated it. She said it was horrible. She said it was garbage.
We're talking about Matrix.
Yeah, Matrix 4. Yeah, did you see Resurrections?
I did. It's a touchy thing. That was the last movie that my mom and I watched before she had to go to the hospital. But I remember, I came home and I remember she was sitting on the couch just like this. She was just like on her wheelchair, and I'm like,
was she disappointed?
Yeah, I was just like, what's going on? She's like, so I just watched Matrix Resurrections, and I'm like, okay, what'd you think? She's just like, so bad. Like, she looked at me like dead in my eyes, like, so bad. I'm just like, that bad, huh? So, I'm like, well, we should try to watch it again. So we ended up like, I sat there like next to her, and then we ended up watching it again. And because we watched it together, she liked a little bit more, because that was the thing that we always used to do was watch movies. So every Star Wars film I took her to see in theaters.
Oh man.
So anyways.
Oh boy.
So
what were those conversations like after Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker?
So Rise of Skywalker, she thought was it was Last Jedi, where I've never seen my mom that angry. That didn't have to do with like me or my brothers or my sister or anything like that. Like, I've never seen her that pissed off. Like,
see, there you go, Lucasfilm. It ain't just the light skinned people, which I don't qualify because I'm not white.
And she was a Star Wars, like, that's how I got into Star Wars, was her. Like, great. Yeah, and exactly, to what Michelle's saying in the comments, the original trilogy, I wouldn't say Christian undertones. It's basically a messianic figure. That's the same. It's the same thing with Star Wars. Anakin was actually supposed to be like a Messiah figure,
and George Lucas kind of flipped it. And the funny thing was, Anakin did fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah, no, he did.
I mean,
like even tying in the extended universe, the rule of two, Darth Bane's rule of two, ends with Vader.
Yep.
He ended the Sith. Now we get into the whole, which, by the way, side note, I know it always goes back to Star Wars. I just finished reading Darth Plagueis, like the novel. It's not canon, just in case anyone's like interested in all that. Like, ooh, it's not canon, so don't worry about it. But, excuse me, technically it's an Old Republic novel because it takes place towards the end of the Old Republic.
Yeah, because he kills. Doesn't he kill Plagueis after Phantom Menace?
It's right before. He takes at that night. He was made Chancellor. Takes him out because Plagueis was supposed to be co-Chancellor. Darth Bane's rule of two, the Sith's end game, was to achieve immortality, rule the galaxy forever.
Mm-hmm.
That was his shtick. Rule of two ends with Vader because each Sith after Bane more powerful. Apprentice kills the master. Master holds all the power. Cycle renews.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Ending with Palpatine, him saying, "I am the Sith" in Rise of Skywalker. I know, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
But, and him coming back actually has merit because Plagueis, was a genius and was able to figured out the key to immortality through midichlorian manipulation. So after reading, I'm like, him coming back, actually, it makes sense. It's just the context isn't canon. It's missing. So he just shows up.
Well, the thing was, he came back in the original. So I don't consider the sequels canon. I consider what they now call Legends canon. And he had already, he had figured it out. He was cloning himself, which they kind of teased on, but they didn't explain anything, so that was never an issue. But anyway, that's just the whole thing of the whole messianic thing. And I mean, that was the whole thing of Joel Schuster and whatever. What are the two creator names of Superman, to bring back the topic? Joel and something.
Mark Kirby and
not Kirby. It's Joel and something. Hold up. If I search if I search on my desktop, I'll take you off the screen. Superman creators. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
There you go.
And apparently Wayne Boring. So yeah, Schuster and Siegel. I knew it was sh. But they were a couple Jewish men, and they basically were like, yeah, let's make another Moses. Let's make another Messiah. So
by the way, selfless plug, not plug, but these things so good.
Oh yeah,
it's like soda, but like not.
I think I think my wife bought those at one point.
So good.
Penny C saw the original Star Wars in '77.
Oh, okay.
Wow, and yeah, Star Wars imprinted on him.
Yeah, same with my mom. My mom, she was in high school when she saw the original trilogy, and it imprinted on me. So when I have kids, eventually, I will just continue that legacy of.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I'll just say Star Wars ended it with Return of the Jedi, and then there's select things in the new canon that are
there was actually
good.
Hold up, I got to show you this. I don't think I've shown I haven't posted this. 1 second.
Hey.
So yeah, I completely agree, man. There are things, I don't know, you recognize this?
Let me see. Let me wait for the nice. Is that whose lightsaber is that?
Come on now. We were just talking about this in the chat.
Is that?
And it's funny because we're talking about Superman, so that'll give you a hint right there. Superman is your hint for whose lightsaber this is. What's Superman's name?
Oh, is that Cal's lightsaber?
That is Cal
cool.
Kestis.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are things that have come out post, sequel that are super dope. The story of the story of Jedi Survivor or Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, that was a great story.
It was.
The game wasn't that great, but it
was okay.
But the story was epic. But to me, one of the best Star Wars games was The Force Unleashed. That
Starkiller guy.
Starkiller, man, Galen Merrick. I told my wife. I was like, I just need one more lightsaber. I need like a legit NeoPixel Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi saber. And then I totally forgot about Galen Merrick, and I'm like, no, I need his too, because honestly, man, next to Luke and Lando and Han and Leia and Chewie and Vader and after that, to me, after the original, the prequel and the OG trilogy, it's like, yeah, Galen Merrick, dude, he's the next in line.
I have a friend who was just like him.
It's like Sam Witwer.
And when I first met him, I was like, "What do you look like?" And he's like, "Starkiller." I'm like, "Oh, you already knew." So
bro, if you Google real quick on your phone, I had a Christian group. Google Gabriel Bello Abishai. Gabriel Bello Abishai. I was in a trio Christian group with this guy that looked like he could have been Sam Witwer's. Is it Sam Witwer? It's Witwer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could be his brother. He could be his body double, actually.
What was the trio?
Abishai, Abishai, and actually, I'll pull this up for everybody on the stream so that they can see it, because it's worth. If it comes up on the. If a big enough image comes up, may not. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can't really see him in that thing.
Yeah, but there's looking picture.
He's the guy on the far right. But if there was
kind of see it.
Yeah, if there was a better picture of it, you could see him better. But he totally could have been.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, my goodness, man. Like that's that's the thing. There's. And the thing the guy was talking, Gabe, gosh, what was his name? His last name something Arabic. Al Taib. That's it. Al Taib. He was talking about not surrendering. Granted, it's from a Christian perspective, but I think it's just for anybody that wants to tell good stories. And there was somebody, I don't know if it was Tom Cruise, but they were like this. They weren't somebody they're not a hard right conservative, and they're not a they're just like, look, man, we just need to tell stories. Like, people come here to hear good stories,
right?
And to me, I think this is why there's going to be such tremendous backlash. I mean, I hear what Jesse was saying. For those of you that don't know, Jesse is he's one of the original people. It was him and Brandon were like the original Super Geek podcast, and then I came on, and then Lisa came on. So now we're kind of like the perfect. We're like we have Leia, we got which you would actually Lisa would be Leia, you would be Han, Jesse would be Luke, and that would actually make me Lando.
Yeah.
I'm smooth guy. I just need a cape. I got a nice beard.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, just tell good stories. And the thing with Cavill, dude, he just is like Reeve, man. Like I really wanted to love Brandon Routh as Superman, and honestly, when he came back in the CW as the Kingdom Come Superman,
that was cool. I
was like, man, he really got the short end of the stick with Superman Returns.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good story. They didn't make him look right. He was a little too small. And the funny thing was, he was smaller in that than he was in what was the video game movie that he was in? He was the bass player, something Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yeah.
He was bigger, more buff looking in Scott Pilgrim than he was in Superman. Made no sense to me. I was like, dude, that's Superman. He looks like Superman. He's big. He's buff.
He's tall.
Oh, dude, he's 6'3".
Jesus.
He's actually he's like an inch taller than Henry Cavill. That's the funny thing, actually. You know, I'm one of those weird people that actually like Ben Affleck. My wife didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman.
I do too.
I thought he was great, man. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to see more.
He was vegan.
Say what, Scott?
It's because he was vegan. I mean,
what was he? Gelato's not vegan? No, it's milk and eggs. Funny, that was the Punisher too, and who said that to him.
Speaking of which, speaking of Batfleck, if you ever saw Gone Girl, that was a movie he did right before he did BVS.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a suburban thriller, totally like but he was looking pretty swollen, so I'm just like,
he was getting ready.
And I think he was already announced to be Batman, but they hadn't, like, there was no suit pictures yet or anything.
Yeah.
So he was already working out for it.
Man,
like,
I'm with Zach, man. Zach was like his glorious chin. I'm like, look, man, he's 6'4". He got up to like, I think 240. And so like Batman stats are what, and that was funny because this was actually one of the things that people hated Keaton about back in the 80s was like, he's too short, he's too small. Batman is he's like 6'2", 220 or 230. And Michael Keaton was like 5'10" or 5'9" and 180 soaking wet.
But he's not a big guy.
Yeah, but then that movie came out and it was like people didn't care.
Yeah.
And I don't know but that was before the internet, man. I just don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you imagine? Here's the thing, that after this wave of fan outcry, dude, who in the heck are they going to get to fill those shoes?
I don't know.
I mean, it's always been an unknown. They've always cast an unknown as Superman.
Yeah. I like Val Kilmer's Batman.
I like that. Bob Kane actually said that Val Kilmer was the closest thing before he passed away to what he envisioned Batman being. That was the creator. So, according to him, now granted, Batman has kind of become, there's so many different kinds of Batman. There's Batman Brave and the Bold. There's the Adam West Batman. There's what is it? The Dark Knight Returns. So
many different alliterations.
Yeah, I mean now all that being said, listen. Kevin Conroy was Batman. Period. Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace, is the Batman. Period.
When he passed away, I felt like part of my childhood just died.
Bro.
Like literally, like I know we're like older and stuff, but at least if the actors are still around, you still kind of just to hear their voices.
Yes.
And now pass away, it's just like,
dude, if this doesn't want to make you cry, and you're probably gonna want to look this up and then cry later. There was a story, and it's Kevin Conroy telling it. You know what? Shoot, I got the internet right here. Hold up, I'm gonna move you over, and I'm gonna pull this up in a whole different screen because you have to see this. You have to see this story. Kevin Conroy Soup Kitchen story. You see? You see? This I can't remember.
Cowboys gave us some bad news.
It was a reel. I'm hoping this is it now. This is a little salty, so for those of y'all who don't like salty language, I apologize, but for those of us that kind of, this is. I remember I was 9 or 10, maybe 11 years old when the cartoon came out. So like this is like when this guy died. I'm with you, Brandon. Like this is like an uncle. It's like when this guy passed away, it's like a family member died.
Yeah.
Shoot, hold up. Well, there we
play
go.
the audio through.
Yeah, it will. Here we go.
I live in New York,
Okay.
and I after the attacks on 9/11, we were getting all these, hundreds of meals
The
ready.
internet.
And this one guy, in the middle of the night, like 3 nights into this, he goes, "So my day job is I'm an architect." He says, "What's your day
probably on
job?"
mute,
I said,
dude.
"Well, I do voices mostly."
Yeah. So when it's going, we can still hear you, so you can comment.
Day job. I said, "Well, I do voices mostly." He went, "I knew it." He said, "You're the guy who does Batman. You're that Kevin Conroy." So he goes into this dining hall, and this is, the first week after the attack, and there'd been like just
Oh, I've heard this. I've
somber
seen this.
sadness, and you hear him go, guys, you're not gonna believe who's been cooking your dinners. It's Batman." There's this long silence, and you hear,
Turn down my mic.
"Bull!" back in the place, and he said, then someone else says, "Make him prove it." So I thought, oh, this is good. So I'm in the back kitchen. And I
You
go to the
imagine?
back kitchen. "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." There's this long pause, and then you hear from the back of the place, "Holy it's Batman." And suddenly people were laughing. And the architect who had recognized me said, "What's it feel like to be Santa Claus?"
Oh,
Because that's what just happened here.
oh my gosh, dude! That when I heard that a couple days ago.
Wherever today takes you.
Oh, hold up! That was
Whatever
the stupid thing is still running.
demands of you.
That just broke my heart, man. What does it feel like to be Santa Claus? I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, man. Like that was
really, really tough to see that, just because of that's the kind of guy he was.
I mean,
Just light up the room.
and that's the thing, like, to me, that's the issue with insecure white males made down over Brie Larson. Whoa, there's a lot of there's some interesting people. There's some interesting people in the chat. There's somebody who has a hidden comment, and I am going to hide it because I have no idea what they're talking about. So I'm not trying to get into those conversations. But to me, like with what Cavill, to compare to Conroy, it's not quite the same thing. But I think there is a little bit of a similarity there. He's been Superman for what, 5-6 years?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about almost a decade that kids that were 5 or 6 or that were, 10 or 12, and Man of Steel comes out.
Yeah.
And this guy has been Superman for if you're a 20-year-old, he's been Superman for like half your life. And even for us that are grown, I mean, yeah, I grew up with the Christopher Reeves. What in the world are these people talking about? I have no idea what. I have no idea. Yeah, I'm just putting you guys in timeout because they are not even on topic. Goodness gracious. But what is going to happen when you? And once again, it's not a valid comparison, but like you got. Imagine recasting Iron Man.
That would be nuts.
And Robert Downey Jr. is still alive. Now, it's one thing if Robert Downey Jr. is 70 years old, and it's like, man, I'm too old for it, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. And here's what they did. See, check this out. This is when Marvel knew what they were doing. Remember in the Incredible Hulk film with Edward Norton?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the security guard that when he stood up from the desk to pick up the pizza, towered over Edward Norton? It was Lou Ferrigno, the original Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we knew, man, we want our Hulk to be 13 feet tall and 1,300 pounds like he is in the comics. Lou, Lou, baby, you're in great shape for 67, but, Lou, you're 125 years old. Yeah, yeah. And my boy, that's my boy D. He, yeah. I mean, Ferrigno hated the CG Hulk because it's like it's not real. It's not real. He's got a speech impediment because he's partially deaf, so he's like, it's not real. I'm real. It's all right. You see, this muscle is real, and it's like
they asked Eric Bana to like if he wanted to come back and do like a little thing,
little cameo.
Like, he was just like, that was a thing that people wanted. I don't know. He kind of was just like, oh, they haven't called me. It was when Multiverse of Madness was coming out, I think, and No Way Home and the whole multiverse chat.
Oh yeah, that piece of trash. Let me tell you, I'm bitter over that movie. We have to do.
Multiverse of Madness.
What's that?
Well, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, the mom. I call it bad.
Oh, yeah, mom.
Bad mom. Bad mom. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a Super Geek on that because I have a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like Chappelle. If you have hate in your heart, let it out. No, I know D. I know he's deaf. That's why I'm being funny. That was actually one of the things I like in what was that movie with him and Ant-Man, Paul Rudd. He's like, I put him in a sleeper hold. It's actually but yeah, Multiverse of Madness. That's something I was actually use the Force. There we go. Reconnected, man. I tell you what. OBS is doing a good job with that. Vegas Restream never reconnected. Once it lost, it was you were dead in the water.
Yeah, I guess so.
But there was rumors and even artwork of Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
I remember seeing that.
And the cool thing was
as a Iron Man variant.
It was what that was a reference to.
Wasn't he in the runnings like back in the day?
Okay. Did you ever read the original Ultimates, which was the Avengers in the Ultimate Universe? Did you ever read that?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the few Marvel runs I did.
That was great. It was the first 2 seasons of it or years of it. I can't remember what they call it in comics because it's been a while for me. Was those first 2 runs? The first 2 years were great. No, so D, I'm going to break it down to you. So in the Ultimates, which was the Avengers of the Ultimate Universe, this is like the regular Marvel continuity is 616. Is it 616?
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 626 or something like that. This was another universe, a parallel universe, in the multiverse. In that, Thor had different armor. Mjolnir had an axe head on it. Iron Man's armor looked way different. They actually got Captain America's MCU look from from the Ultimates. It was more the Ultimates. So it was like a combination of World War II and the original Captain America look. It wasn't like the red boots. It was World War II boots, all that other stuff, right?
Wow.
In that, once they assembled the Avengers, okay, and the Ultimates, with a Black Nick Fury, which everybody thought was dope. Black Nick Fury with the, in that, check this out. This was really cool. When I tell you, if you haven't remembered already, they're talking. So Betty Ross was a publicist, not a scientist. So, which is funny because for those
it's been a while.
For my conspiracy folk out here, this is going to play into. So Betsy Ross, who was in relations with Bruce Banner, who's a military scientist, and her father is 4-star general. So here she is, kind of like a what's his name from CNN, who's he's a CIA guy. The gay guy, the CNN guy he's
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper, yeah, he's like he's a what is the mansion that they have here in North Carolina that the people do all the tours through and Christmas stuff. He's from that family. I'm actually putting that together now. I didn't, Asheville. Yeah, it was Biltmore. So anyway, Betsy Ross is kind of like media running interference, and they're talking about Steven Spielberg had contacted her because they wanted the rights to do an Ultimates movie, and they were discussing with the actual Avengers or the Ultimates in that universe who would play them. And and Iron Man's like, well, Tom Cruise would have to be me because there's just nobody else that could do, So that was like where the whole Tom Cruise thing was supposed to. People were excited about that because they're like, man, we're They said, well, who would play Banner? Probably some ugly, probably some ugly crazy guy like Steve Buscemi. They said Brad Pitt for Captain America. I can't remember who they said is Wasp and Giant Man. And they're like, well, who would be you, Nick? He's like, Samuel L. Jackson. He's the only brother that's bad enough to play me. So this is why when he popped up in that first post-credit scene in Iron Man, the fans went extra nuts because it was like, oh my gosh, these people are reading. Like, Jon Favreau read the comics.
Yeah.
Like, he knew what was happening. Like, that's why The Mandalorian has been so good, him and Dave Filoni. They actually watched the movies. They read the books. Mm-hmm. They read the comics. They played the video games.
They're in there.
Dude, you know Dave Filoni read every book, read the comics, and played all the video games, because if not for that, the Clone Wars wouldn't have been the hit that it was, because like it serviced the fans that have been keeping this franchise alive for forever. So why does that matter with Superman and Henry Cavill, what we're talking about? Because the fans matter. Yeah. The stories matter. The characters matter. And I honestly don't think, other than Man of Steel, and even Man of Steel, I had issues with the story, but he really has never gotten a full shake of being who that character really is. And he said that he wanted to be that character like Luke Skywalker. He never gives up. He's always hopeful. If you watch his interaction with Batman in Superman Batman Public Enemies
versus.
Yeah, no, not versus Public Enemies, the animated film. You know, like you watch the interaction and you see like he's always upbeat. He's never down. And Bruce is the opposite, which is why they make such great friends and such great, great characters to play off each other.
I think there's a rat outside. Okay.
Oh my goodness, rats in California.
Yeah, I'm hearing all kinds of pitter patter in like the ceiling, freaking me out. Yeah, it is a bummer that like we lost Henry Cavill, like for sure, like for real, because I know it was always uncertain, and it was just an extra stab to the heart when like we finally got like we were gonna move towards like a good direction, and like they're just like nope.
Yeah.
So then they can't get mad when they get upset. They can't be like, well, why are they upset? I don't understand. It's like, well,
no,
exactly.
Well, then they call us names, and then they say, oh, these people are bigoted or this and that, and it's like, man, we're not, we didn't go see Solo for no other reason than you destroy Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't go see that movie in theaters.
No,
I had no desire to. My feelings were hurt because you completely destroyed the character, which actually I agree with Mark Hamill. It's like, well, that wasn't even Luke Skywalker. So here you are, you got Carrie Fisher a year before she passes away.
Yeah.
You have Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill, and you don't even put them on screen at the same time.
Yeah.
You dummies.
And Harrison doesn't care. But it's part of his charm, his old name. He doesn't give two craps. Yeah.
Dude, you're 100% right. You're 100% right, dude.
I love the videos where he's always like, oh, Star Wars is like, yeah, what about it? Yeah, he's like, just sick of hearing about it.
Dude, he's so exhausted.
It's funny.
He's so exhausted. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who's he's in the film industry. He makes movies and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I said, yeah, Harrison has a bad reputation for, with the fans, just not really being, kind of, playing into that whole thing of don't meet your heroes. But honestly, I think some of that's exaggerated.
Oh, for sure.
Because
I don't think he's actually like, he's just, he knows that we know it's funny.
Well, you know what I think it is? I think he's an introvert.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's an introvert, and he's a mega celebrity that's impacted kids that are now adults all over the world. And, when people run into him at a restaurant, they're just so excited. They just, and he's just, bro, he can't live. He's never going to have a normal, like he could have stopped doing films 30 years ago, and he still would not be able to walk into a Walmart, to walk into any restaurant without people being like, Oh my God, dude, can I get your picture? Can I get an autograph? I love you so much, man. Thanks, man.
Indiana Jones. Ah.
Bro, I mean, come on. If you're out somewhere and Harrison Ford's walking by you, you're not going to say something? You're not just going to let him be? Come on.
So here's my take. It's funny enough, since I'm back in my hometown of LA,
where that happens all the time. You're like, oh, there's so-and-so. Oh, there's so-and-so.
Here's the thing that I've learned over the years when you meet, whether it's actors you love or just actors you've seen or whatever. I've learned when it depends on the setting. If they're in a restaurant or if they're eating, I never ever say anything to them.
Well, because that's rude. They're eating.
Right.
That's good manners.
The only time where I had like a very unfortunate run-in with a celebrity. Now we're back music time. Across the street from my house was the Van Nuys Sherman Oaks Park, which, it's like a huge park that spans from the Sherman Oaks side where I lived, and then the Van Nuys side, which is like the other side of the park. So a lot of people come through there. So at the time I was playing flag football. I was like 12, something like that. And I see this dude, this very pale man, and like, those like fold chairs that you use outside and stuff, with a baseball cap, ponytail, had shades on. And I'm just like, just could be whoever. But then as we're going, it dawned on me, I think that's Slash. And everyone's like, you think so? I'm like, yeah. The nose ring. And he wore his iconic shades. Of course, he didn't have the top hat because, that would give it away.
Yeah.
So, being a guitarist or of sorts, he was one of my heroes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go say hi. Now, I was 12, so I'm a kid. So, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I'm a baby. I went up to him. And I introduced myself, and I said, you're one of my heroes. You're one of the reasons why I picked up the guitar. I just wanted to say hello, and I'm always looking forward to new stuff from you. You're great. That's it. His exact response. I'll reenact it because I remember it vividly. Sitting down, looks up at me. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's like, whatever, kid. And then I just stood there. I was like, and then I just turned around and I walked back. Then everyone's like, how'd it go? My mom's like, and I'm like, yeah, he's not that great. And ever since, like, I'm like, wow. But that was the only time. Like, every other, like, whoever I've bumped into, has always been pleasant. Even if it's like a short, like, because, they have lives to live and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I bumped into the guy that plays Jamie Lannister at my old job, actually, at the movie theater. He popped in with a couple of other character actors who, again, when you see them in real life, you'd always never remember their names. But I had said, you're great, and my mom loved you, and your portrayal of Jamie Lannister. And then I was like, this is like the sweetest thing he ever said to me. Because I was speaking in the past tense, he picked up on it. This is, of course, after she had passed.
Yeah.
I was like, well, Mom loved you as Jamie Lannister. I wish that I could tell her that, like, I met you. And then he's like, she knows. I'm like,
I remember you shared that with us in the Super Geek chat.
Yeah. I was just like,
yeah, that's you want all those people that that they're a part of our lives. I mean, to me, that's just what you sign up for, man. Where you're gonna, if you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to be in a story that affects so many people. Dude, just don't get upset when people come up and want to show you love and want to tell you how much they appreciate you. And I don't know, some people go hard and some people are awkward and demanding, but I
was reading the chat.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
possibly.
But still,
yeah, and Yeah, Derpy 501st. That's why I told him, I was like, our boy Jesse, who's 1/4, a quarter of the Super Geek. I think he agrees with you. He's like, he's bummed, but he's still hopeful. I'm just, man, Hollywood has just let us down so much.
Speaking of which, talking comics. One sec.
Oh, he's gonna grab something. They've just let us down so much in the last few years, and especially with DC, man. I mean, like with the missteps with the Justice League, and then the Justice League, and then basically kicking Cavill out. I mean, somebody. And I'm not going to get dirty, and I'm not going to get filthy, but it just makes you wonder if Cavill pissed off the wrong producer or the wrong executive at WB, because they've been trying to kick him out for forever. And
yeah, for real. And
why? He's
if you're a Superman fan, you need to read this.
Oh, hold up! It's you got to put it a little closer because of the green screen thing. Yeah. It's cutting out the top of it. Doomsday Clock.
Yeah. So for those of you, for the uninitiated,
turn off your background blurring.
Yeah, I'm just gonna,
yeah.
I'm gonna check on hold on. Yeah. There you go. Okay, well, let's give it a minute to catch up. All right, cool. For the uninitiated, if you love Superman,
I don't think I don't think I've read that book. I don't think I've read that one.
You need to, and I know
maybe
it's a sequel to Watchmen.
Sure.
It's a sequel to Watchmen, technically, canonically. However, don't treat it as a Watchmen sequel. Treat it as one of the greatest Superman comics.
Man,
period.
And that's something actually that still baffles me to this day. I don't understand all the hate that the Watchmen film gets. If you've read that book, they basically changed one thing, but it didn't change the story. It didn't change the point of it. You know what I mean? I mean, you might disagree. If you disagree, tell me why.
I liked it. At the time, I was younger at the time, so honestly, like. I barely watched it at the time because my parents were like, "You're gonna watch that," because they knew, especially my dad. Like everyone's read Watchmen, like the original graphic novel. I think I appreciated it more later on as time went on, and after watching the show, it just made me appreciate it more, and the graphic novel.
Yeah,
just because. I thought Snyder had a good idea with Watchmen, his take on it. I like the Watchmen movie, So I think people just hate on it just because
what's his name? The writer, the famous writer that wrote that, and he wrote A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh,
I can see him. He was one of the creators of Swamp Thing. Oh. It's late. My brain is.
Oh.
Come on, help me out.
Swamp Thing.
Just use your phone, brother. Sure. If it wasn't for the live stream, I'd say like let's sit and think about it. But while that, yeah, I hear you, Derpy, the 501st man, and I'm pulling this up for you.